All right. I think we had about 25 people registered. So we had a couple of people recently just say they couldn't come. All right, let's just give it another minute or so, and then we'll start. How are you, Frank?
Rashid.
Any good news from the last week since we last spoke?
Oh, well, we've been sort of able to keep our customers and secure some maintenance contracts, which is good.
That's always positive.
Very good.
Shane, how are you going?
Good, thank you, Rashid.
So what's the good news from the last few weeks, month, whatever?
Oh, well, I've been knee deep in marketing, sort of done a rebranding exercise, getting a website rebuilt, trying to sort of put all the moving pieces together so that we can sort of hit the ground running in the new year, as well as sort of just keeping things going at the moment. So, quite a challenging time. Particularly when you've got that big Christmas break. So trying to get everything either done before or be able to not lose the momentum shortly after.
Yeah, indeed. Good, Sean.
Morning.
Hi, Nicola. How are you going?
Good, thank you. Sorry, the tea hasn't set in yet because it's only 7:30 here. So my win, I think, is last week I did my planning for next year, or wrote a loose plan about what I want to achieve next year. So it makes I've got more direction.
Okay, great. All right, I think we should make a start. All right, so welcome everybody to this month's Business Roundtable. This is going to be the last one for this year. We'll reconvene again probably mid-January next year. Once again, treat it as if you're in a live room. You've all got your cameras on, which is great. There are a few of us, so we'll just move through quickly. I might just do another set of introductions in a minute, but let's just go through why we run these. So we all recognize that as business leaders, it's pretty lonely. It can be a lonely space working by ourselves, and we're often caught up in our own stuff. So it's useful to get different perspectives from other successful leaders. And we also note that none of our problems are unique. Every time we run one of these, people say, look, it's just good to be in a room with other people sharing the same sort of issues. And the wisdom is in the room. So please, the more you contribute, the more you take away. And one thing I would say is that if you hear an idea and you think, oh, maybe that won't work, or maybe that's not that's not such a smart idea, just put it at the back of your mind. Take it out, revisit it every so often, because very often those insights come from places after we've actually given it a little bit more consideration than we would have in the first place. The frame for today's session, once again, is setting yourself up for a great 2023. We know we live in challenging times. Look, none of us really know what's going to happen next year. Barbara, do you want to let Sam in? And we can't affect the major economy, but we can affect our own economy and that's our microeconomy and how we respond to things. And so, with a view to that, I'm going to be sharing one of the foundational models that we work with our clients on to just frame the discussion. Now, I think you all know me, but just for the record, Barbara and I have run our practice for 22 years, and my vision is to help business leaders build better businesses. And what does that actually mean? It means businesses where you are both making money so that you become financially free at some point, and you enjoy what you're doing, and you work with people that you really like to work with, because otherwise, why would we be taking the risks and having the stress that we normally have in business? And my vision is to build a tribe of leaders, successful business owners, where as you're successful, as we're all successful, that ripples out further and further into the community. Okay, so why don't we just run through a set of quick introductions? Because what I've always found is that people, once they know each other, can cross-refer to each other. And we've had number of instances where people have actually cross-referred, actually done business with each other. What I'd also encourage you to do is to put a blurb into the chat, which you can then save by hitting the 3 dots at the bottom. I'll just put one in so you can have a look at what it looks like, because that way, did it go in? No, it didn't go. Because that way you have everybody else's details. Morning, Samantha. Okay, so why don't we start with a quick set of introductions and a major win for the last month. Peter.
Thanks. Hi, Peter from GradSift. GradSift is a recruitment shortlisting platform for employers who hire graduates and interns in bulk, and it uses AI to automatically screen and rank those candidates. And in terms of a win, I was just saying to Rashid and Barbara when I first logged on that we've had NAB reach out to us after 4 years of them knowing about GradSift and what we do. Reached out, had a meeting yesterday, which was very positive, and we'll have some more meetings that, don't want to get too excited, but hopefully there's the potential that, they want to look to use GradSift going forward in their graduate recruitment. So it's the long haul, 4 years. Thanks.
Yeah, but you've got to be in it to win it. Nobby, how are you?
Yeah, good, thanks, Rishi. Good morning. So I'm an ex-financial advisor after 20 years, and after I got out, I decided I want to still help people with managing their money, and created a software program that shows people how to manage their money, eliminate their debt in less than half the time, and create their future wealth just on their current income. And a couple of wins for me, I guess. I think Steve Brosman. So Steve sent out an email, and I responded to that email, and as a result of that, there's a possibility of something big that he's working on that my stuff might fit into. And another guy who's working with a company over in India. They have 5,008 tax agents, accountants globally, and they need a personalized software like mine that they can then promote through to their guys globally.
Excellent, well done. Okay.
Yeah, it's been like 20 years.
It's sort of like that, isn't it? I think we all think it's everything just sort of happens. But I was reading a statistic recently where it said from initial contact to getting a sale, the average is 2-point-something years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not this, wham bam, thank you, ma'am. It happens. Obviously, it does happen when somebody's ready to buy, but it was really interesting to see what that average was. Anyway, Rick, how are you going?
Good. Well, good morning, everyone. Rick Florence from Coldbuster Floor Heating. Yeah, I'm not shy in announcing that, as you can see by my name and what's behind me. Our big win this last week is we finally secured to purchase much bigger property nearby to allow us for a bigger office and warehouse. So it'll be our second expansion in 2 years. And this will enable us to hopefully next year jump to the next level, take on bigger deliveries and container loads, more products, and hire a lot more people to do all the things that I haven't been able to do to date. So yeah, exciting year ahead for us, hopefully.
Well done.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Frank, how are you going?
Good, just had to unmute myself. Frank Valari, Phase Pacific. We provide solutions into the application security market and into the networking space. We represent many large multinational suppliers, vendors in Australia and in New Zealand in that arena, looking to secure all the software applications that we use or enterprises use, and help build better networks. Wins, I mentioned earlier, we've managed to retain a number of key customers of late, renewing their support contracts, which has been good, particularly in the defence area. We're looking to expand the team, actually hoping to hire someone very soon as an inside salesperson. And this afternoon, actually, we're delivering our first face-to-face live event in the city in Melbourne. So hopefully that will go well. And yeah, it's nice to get out and about again.
Excellent. Well done. Shane, how are you going?
Good. So I'm Shane Whitehouse. I work for a company, ITANS, that is responsible for solving complex, I suppose, IT problems for companies who are on a digital transformation. And so generally that is where they've either started and then they've got stuck around integration or data management, or they need to get better insights into what they're actually doing. So this is really a whole of process for businesses. Been with them for 12 months, and I'm at the moment sort of wearing many hats to try and take what is a company that's been a bit of a secret and actually get it up to the right level that it needs to be.
Okay, excellent. Andy, good to see you again.
Hi everyone, how you going? So this is my first time. My name is Handy. I'm from Interscale. We are an IT consulting company. Well, nowadays it's called managed service provider. It looks like there's a few IT companies here as well. I caught up with Shane last week and see what we can do together. Yeah, Joe. So we are a managed service provider. We are a lot of our services are very applicable to any industries, but we are so heavy on design and construction industries. So majority of our clients are architects and the builders. But yeah, like I mentioned before, I mean, our IT services can be applicable to anyone. It's just happened from word of mouth, you know, in the design and constructions, and then yeah, just keep going around the same circle. Yeah, I think that's probably it for me. I mean, looks like everyone telling about the small wins. What's the big wins or small wins for us lately? I guess it's probably around the partnerships. I mean, I don't really look after the customers directly anymore because we got a sales team, a quite strong sales team. So I guess from the Interscale point of view, we recently partnered with a few people or few companies to actually strengthening our service offering. Because there's no company can do everything, and then sometimes the requirement from the customers is quite a lot, and you know, from end to end, and we don't do a whole lot. So partnering, win-win partnership, it's actually extremely important for us, and yeah, so I'm hoping to catch up with every one of you and see what we can do together in terms of doing joint marketing events and all kind of stuff. Not to sell to each other, but you know, to grow together.
Yeah, because if you think about it, you know, we might know, you know, 200, 300 people, sort of, you know, we might know 20, 30, 40 people really well, but then they might have a wider circle of say 200 people, but each one of those people know another 200 or 300 people.
Correct.
So if you think about, you know, really 2 degrees of freedom, 2 degrees of separation, you can just about get to anybody. And I think none of us really take advantage of the fact that we know people who know people who know people. And I think we need to get better. And this is just another way of doing it in this community. Anyway,
Yeah,
thanks,
true.
Andy.
Thank you.
Sean.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Sean, co-founder of Disrupt Tech. We specialize in cybersecurity. So pretty much everything is cybersecurity. We have technologically market-leading solutions that the market's taking up. So what's probably happened of significance, probably three key things. Outside of you know, clients taking up our technology almost every day, we've had about a 350% growth with uSecure since August, as an example of our growth. We've just committed to partnering with EFT Shore, which is a big one. So any payments that are sent to another bank account the BSB account number, ABN and ACN are checked in real time, and if anything doesn't match, the payments are stopped. So whether it's 1,000 payments a minute or 3 payments a day, it works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we're moving into the new year. The chairman of Crime Stoppers has invited us to partner with them. So catching up with Peter Price later this month for starting in the new year. And that's it from me. Thank you.
Excellent. Excellent. And I mentioned to just at the beginning before you were on, Sean and his business partner Angus and I are running a joint venture as well around sales enablement and building businesses for all of the MSPs that Sean has on his books.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mention that. That's probably just as important as all the others.
Which is very exciting for us.
Yeah.
Because it's, we really look to partner with people, so that we can all, the rising tide raises all ships. So thank you for that, Sean. Baz, how are you going? You're on mute, mate.
Got 2 mute buttons. Yeah, Bas from All Star Solutions. We're also a technology company, but our differentiator is that we're a white label company. So we generally work with managed service IT companies and system integrators to develop, to deploy their services and provide on-site break fix support for them across Australia, New Zealand, and rest of the world. So we're based in Sydney, and we've got employees across different states in Australia, and then we use a network of agents to deliver these services. And they could be network related, could be Wi-Fi, could be end user devices and things like that. Wins at the moment, we're more in a time where we're strategizing and realigning the business, looking at the working from home option as a complete solution for our staff. So we haven't really been focusing so much on big wins as yet. We're looking at that next year. I mean, if we look at small wins, would be hiring new account managers, as we've had a few people come and go this year. So hopefully that will also generate some big wins next year.
Excellent. Samantha, good to see you.
Find the unmute button. Hello, everybody. My name is Samantha. My business is Happinessence, and I work with the people side of happiness at work. So at the moment, I am focusing on my first client in Australia, because I'm based in New Zealand, which is super exciting, and delivering a new seminar in the new year, which is all around helping people in teams to communicate together more effectively. Because as we all know, when you can speak to one another, you can actually get the job done.
Any big wins besides coming to Australia?
That's my big win, coming to Australia.
Okay,
yes.
Excellent. Well done. Jeff, welcome.
Hi, Rashid. Sorry I was late. Customer call went over time. Jeff Penrose here, and thank you for the invitation. I'm a co-founder of Early Birds, and my fellow co-founder is Chris Poirier. He's not here at the moment, but currently working in the US. We're a open source intelligence platform that tracks and monitors global businesses in real time. We track and monitor 4.5 million businesses globally, and we use that data to build ecosystem maps and to solve problems for government and private sector. We've got customers in federal government, national security, and in private sector in mining, pharma, biotech, and other areas. We're currently have one Fortune 500 customer in the US, and we're making inroads into our big win. Is making inroads into the US federal government. It's one of my business partners currently in the US. With the US government, if that makes sense. We're going on too much. That's what we do.
Excellent. Well done and welcome.
Thank you.
but definitely
Apologies,
not
Russ.
least. Yeah.
How do you do the new line in Zoom? Because it seems to be, it's supposed to be like a control enter, but it doesn't do. I'm just trying to put a new line in the chat.
You're trying to put a new line in. It should be control. It should be shift enter. Try shift
Shift.
enter.
Okay, I'll
Yeah.
give it a go. I don't want to spam everyone. Let me just try it. Thanks.
Yeah, just try it again. Shift enter. Nicola, how are you going?
Good, thanks, Rashid. So my name is Nicola Steele. I'm based in Brisbane and my business is JJP Talent Solutions. What we do is help grow tech teams, predominantly software teams in early stage startups, high growth scale-ups, and also SMEs as well. Most of the clients are based in Brisbane, but we have expanded to Sydney and Melbourne, which is one of the plans moving forward. Particularly, I think it was Maz that mentioned about people working from home or working remotely. Geography is becoming far less important. So, for example, I've got a guy having an interview this afternoon. He's in Sydney. The company is based on the Gold Coast. The interviewer is actually based in Tokyo. So time zones are important, but apart from that, as in if somebody's based in France, it makes it a lot more difficult because they'll be in bed. But the world is your oyster, so to speak. In terms of wins, I mentioned as I came on and my brain was still starting to wake up. What was I going to say? That last week I did the planning for 2023, one of which is doing more in terms of partnerships and referrals. So, for example, partnerships, what Samantha was talking about, and also she sounds English to me as well, so that voice resonated with me, but also that happiness at work. So that could be a potential partnership when I'm talking to clients. So I should talk to you, Samantha. And then obviously in terms of talking to other people here, if they're growing their teams, their tech teams, then I might be able to help or advise them there. The other little win, which I thought was pretty cool, and it is also one of my projects for next year, is to do all my content for the website and LinkedIn and have it all planned so that it's less haphazard. But I wrote a post last week and I got nearly 17,000 views.
Wow. Okay.
That is pretty big. That was about how going back to the office 5 days a week is, you might as well go back to the 1990s. So that was obviously resonated a lot with people. And off the back of that, I did a poll yesterday about whether people want to work in the office 5 days a week, hybrid fixed days, hybrid flexible days, or 100% remote. Guess how many percent want to be in the office? 2. And there's been about 300 people voting on that poll. So it's obviously really it's a big discussion point. Whether we should still be having this discussion point nearly 3 years later is another discussion point, because surely we must have our heads sorted about this, but lots of companies haven't. And they're really losing out on their top talent by mandating 5 days in the office.
Okay.
Yeah, that
anyway,
was
good.
That was
Excellent.
pretty cool, getting that number of views. So there you go. Thanks, Rashid. I seem to have lost my voice. It's very husky this morning.
Thanks,
Thank
Nicola.
you.
Okay. All right. So coming back to the frame for today, it's about what is 2023 all about, and what are the opportunities that we see and the challenges that we could see coming in our own microeconomy, shall we say. The question is, what can you control? What's outside your control? And how can we all become more nimble, agile? How can we maintain and grow if we want to, or just consolidate? Not everybody wants to grow. And this is the big myth I see. Not, I was talking to somebody the other day and they said, look, they're 2 people, they've got about 15 clients. They don't want to grow. They're happy. They're making enough money. And so it's not always about growth. It is sometimes just about consolidation and being solidly profitable. And so one of the things I would like to talk about as a frame, and I'm just going to share my screen here. Let's see if that works. Tell me if that works. Can you all see that?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So the demand triangle is the basis of every business, and it is the fundamentals that we work through with our clients, because ultimately we're all in business to make money. Let's not kid ourselves. We're all in business to make money, possibly leave a legacy, do more for the community, but it all starts with us. If we're not making money, we can't help anybody else. And so the overarching frame when we work with our clients is that there are three sides to this triangle. There's you, there's them, and how do you make money? So we always start with the left-hand side, because this is about you, your organization, and what do you know? What is your expertise? What are you taking to a market? So what are the problems and the outcomes? What are the problems you solve for your market? What are the outcomes they get? And it is always about truly understanding what those problems and outcomes are. And in my experience, not everybody is actually crystal clear on this. Just honing in to what are the particular issues? What are they really talking about? What are they thinking about, which they may not openly talk about? But even more than that, what are the overarching root causes of some of the problems that your market is experiencing that they don't even necessarily know is the real problem? And that is where the skill comes in. So when we talk about the message, which is the what you do, it is all about fitting that message to a particular market. And you can have many markets, but the market is generally broken up into a demographic, which is all the physical attributes, size, location, industry, not-for-profit, for-profit, etc. It gives you a way of actually finding them. The psychographic, in some respects, is even more important, because this is about their values and their beliefs, who they are as people, how they think. Is somebody more likely to do business with somebody who is green or has a green credentials? Are they, how do they want to go? How do they want to make money, and how do they take their stuff out into the world? And then finally, you need to look at, remember that you're selling to people, you're not selling to an organization. So how do the people that you're talking to relate to your message? And which psychographics do you necessarily work with best? And then if you know that, you can then target other niches. And finally, how you make money. Because anybody who runs a retail store knows that you need to have traffic coming into the store. In our businesses, we have to have people coming to us, so we have to be able to reach out to people. And what is the cost of doing that? Because everything costs, whether you go to a networking function, whether you advertise, whether you send stuff out on LinkedIn, it all costs money. And so you need to look at how you're getting in front of people, and then what is your actual conversion rate? Because leverage comes from reducing the cost of acquisition and increasing your conversion rate. So for every 10 people, on average, how many do you convert into clients? And how do you improve that conversion rate? And then the last one that really I really hammer home to people and is having a minimum viable product that you can get into. Hang on a second, what's going on here? Yep. You can actually get in front of somebody so that you can build up trust slowly. Because I've seen instances recently where people come in with this huge enchilada, and I can do this, 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 and this, and this. But then what happens is that people get overwhelmed. So rather than doing that, do something quite small where you can build up trust, because nobody actually trusts you until you've delivered. We all talk about the trusted advisor, but the trusted advisor comes after you've actually delivered something. And then you need to look at the transaction, whether you're doing a transaction or the lifetime value, because you can have a small start, but build that up over the years to keep that customer coming back again and again and again. So those are the foundations of what we talk about. So given that, where do you see the challenges and opportunities in any one of those three areas? So your message, your market, and how you make money.
I think one of the challenges is, how do you stand out in a room where everybody is shouting?
Mm-hmm.
You know, a crowded room. So you get that quite often, how you get down to that nitty-gritty specific there, because everyone says they can do everything for everybody.
Yep.
And quite often it's the noise, whether you're emailing, whether you're calling, whether you meet someone. Quite often it's, how do you actually stand out or find the right people to have the right conversation in a crowded room where everyone's talking?
Mm-hmm. Anybody else? And we'll cover that in a second, but anybody else?
What made me really sit up and listen when you were talking then, Rashid, was the psychographic and about the values. So my kind of USP, and I've got it on my little booklet here, is the values-driven IT and digital recruitment company. And that also translates into the clients that I work with. So I want to work with purpose-led companies that want to do good for the people or the planet. So, for example, I would not work with a mining organisation because I don't feel that that's doing good for people or planet. So it's a good way to decide who's right to work with and who's not going to be values aligned as well. But yeah, that's what I took from what you said then.
Mm-hmm. Sam?
I was just going to say as well, Rashid, that for me, psychographic was the thing that stuck out as well. It's probably the case that Nico and I are very well aligned, but it stuck out for a different reason, because what I'm seeing a lot at the moment is that people are responding very irrationally. And there are a lot of real challenges out there with the way people are in the world just at the moment. There's been a huge amount of stress placed on individuals and businesses over the last couple of years. So I'm still seeing people who are worn out, who are burned out, and who are just wanting to get out. And it's making it very challenging to discover who are going to be the right people to work with.
Okay. So Shane, do you want to talk a little bit more about what you're seeing happening? You're getting a lot of competition.
Yeah, it's certainly, for what I've seen is that in a lot of cases, that initial discussion and taking Nicola's point about value, how do you get to have that conversation about value and understand whether there's an alignment between yourselves, when quite often everyone's knocking on the same door. Everyone is trying to get out there. We do this, and you know, quite often I've seen it where, whether it be a presentation or something, you could just swap a logo between a company and its competitors, and it would still appear to be exactly the same conversation. In the same way, a person leaving one company going to the other and having the same conversation. So as Samantha said also, where people are now stressed, where people have got that uncertainty, where people have had 2 years of God knows what, and everyone's experience has been different. When they look forward, even to 2023, can anyone look forward and make plans more than 3, 6, or 9 months with any certainty? So the idea of, how do I build a trusted relationship with someone when at the moment my trust with anybody could be very, very low. And although companies buy from companies, it's people buying from people. So that personal relationship, when we're being bombarded with messages, good, bad, and ugly, how do you actually become a genuine, trusted person through that? And without,
so let me, so let me
probably the big challenge that I see.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask a different question. I'm gonna put it in a slightly different context for a second. Okay, so when you've got a close personal friend, what is it about that close personal friend that you really I guess, bond with is, and I'm just going to put something out there. It's to me, it is the fact that they understand me and I understand them at a deep level. Would you agree?
Yes, yes.
So we don't, when, it's not about saying, oh, I can help, I can do all of these things for you, and this is all about me. It's, with our deep friendships, it's about the other person. It's about finding out what's going on in their world, helping them if they ask for it. And this is the one I wrote an article recently about. Men are for Mars, women are for Venus, on just this. We men tend to go in and jump in, boots and all, when somebody says they've got a problem and we're going to solve this problem. And women, as a generalization, obviously, women go, well, they're far more empathetic. Tell me more. Let me listen to this. And they don't come in and try and solve a problem. And I think what we're seeing with your standard, marketing 80s, 90s, 2010s is very much me. I'm going to go out there and do all of this wonderful stuff for you. And as you point out, you could go to anybody's presentation, just change the logo and it would be the same. Because what do they all start with? Who we are, how long we've been in business, what wonderful stuff we do. And these are all the wonderful people we do it for. And honestly, who cares? If somebody did that to you, do you care? What's your response?
Rashid, I actually came across a guy, he actually did it back to front. He started with a story and at the end he introduced who he was and what he was about. Excellent point. Exactly. So if you tell a story about how this organization could be, let's just say you walked into an organization and you obviously know a fair bit about it because you've done your research. And you walked in and they're here and they want to get to here, okay? And you paint this picture in words about where you see these people being, and you truly believe it, and they get a real sense that they could be there and they feel it. What do you think the reaction is going to be?
Well, there's a much greater alignment. It's sort of like if you can take them on that journey, and you're taking them at their pace, and they can feel it. They start to emotionally bond along on that journey because it starts to become more real, particularly if you've painted that picture in such a way that it is relevant and resonates with them.
Yeah. So so what I'm saying here is you don't go and ask them where they want to be. If you've done some research, you can make some pretty educated guesses and say, look, this is a picture that I see for you. And that starts to excite them. And then you go, and I remember doing this with a client, and this was just a role play where we were training a bunch of salespeople, and the guy I was working with, I said, okay, so he told me that his dream was to start a boat shed where he could, build and fix up boats and this, that, the other commercially. So this is a welding company, and he was going to buy all this welding, equipment to do all of this stuff. And I just said, okay, let's just look. It's 5 years into the future. You're sitting in your shed. You're surrounded by all of these boats, this business coming in, the machines are humming, etc. How do you feel? And even though it was a role play, you saw his whole face change. The physiology changed. He was engaged. He said, I love this. Okay. Now this is a role play. It's not even reality. So guess what would happen if you actually did it in reality with a real client? So we all buy on emotion and then we justify that decision with some form of logic. It's very rare that we would do it the other way around. It does happen, but it's very rare. Okay, so how do you get people into the emotion? So to answer your question, Shane, what I would be doing is speaking to the issues that they're having rather than speaking about what you do. Speak to the problems that they're having, what they openly admit to, but also talk about the aspiration of where they could go. This is what I see for you. How would you feel when we have got there? Let's assume for a second we've got there. You know, it's 2 years, 3 years down the line, you're looking back at all the things that have changed because you made the decision to work with us. Now, there's some language in there. Does that help?
Yes, I think sometimes the problem is actually even just getting to that conversation. So
Okay.
not just the having the right conversation, but even before that, because if you are starting from cold, that you know, to pique that curiosity or create that connection in the first place, and then to be able to cultivate it to where you can have that conversation, and you know, you can come in and talk to them about, you know, their issues at their level. So going back to that thing
Okay,
about
so
where they get it.
yeah, okay, so you hit the keyword there, curiosity. Okay, curiosity gets us to lean in. So if you get me curious enough without telling me very much, I'm more likely to ask you something more. Tell me more. Okay, so the key then is to say, okay, so how can I make the message somewhat ambiguous to just get enough curiosity for somebody to say, oh, that's interesting, and not just hit the delete button. So as Barbara just pointed out to me, curiosity will get you over the threshold, but compassion will get you the sale. So if you're empathetic with somebody and say, listen, are you, you know, look, listen, I was looking at what you're doing, and you know, maybe this or this could be going on. Is that something that could be happening? Or have you thought about something else that could be happening that they haven't thought about?
Rosid, can I just share a little bit
Sure.
With what happened with us? I mean, we are obviously, like I mentioned before, we are an IT company. The managed service provider has been overcrowded, and we had the same issue sending the message to the potential clients. And on the last couple of years, especially on the last 2 years, we basically pivoting ourselves into a specific niche market, and that helped a lot, because and all of a sudden you are perceived not an IT company anymore, but it's actually as an expert in the industry. So when you send a message to the potential customer, then the customer will see it different way, rather than just a normal IT company who can ring anyone, right? It's just for an example, like backup. I mean, we never advertise about the backup solution, because nowadays who doesn't? You know, everyone's got a backup solution. So we always just pivot into a specific solution for a specific industry, right? And also, I think what's related to Shane as well, we had so much issues with you know, approaching the customer, sending the right message, because it's overcrowded. Everyone's doing the same thing. So what we did lately, which I believe it made a huge difference, we actually stopped approaching the customer directly. So what we've done, like I mentioned before, we actually partnering with other companies, right? You know, whether that other companies is an IT company or non-IT, doesn't really matter. So when we partnering with another company, everyone knows everyone else's, right? And then we create an event, and then we all in that event together. And then all of a sudden, naturally, we are in front of the customers, right? Because in that event, then the potential customers actually trust us, because we don't just do it from the LinkedIn or from the email. So that's basically what we've been doing lately. And I think if I measure the success compared to the previous marketing activities, it's humongously different. For an example, now we are planning, as I mentioned before, I mean, we are very heavy in the design and construction. We are now actually partnering with a company who's doing estimation, right? A building estimation. So the building estimation, we met last week, and I said, look, who do you actually deal with? And he said, I'm dealing with all the architects. And I said, well, my customers are all architects. And then he said, look, do you want to create an event together? I said, yeah, of course. I mean, so we will create an event together. So that's, once this event is done, we will be in front of all the architects, but they're not our contacts. They're actually their contacts.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
So I think that's that partnership. And when I say the win-win partnership, I really mean by that, because nowadays the win-win partnership has been, people abuse the word partnership a lot, because especially between the vendors and the reseller. Now the partnership, a lot of the partnership means, this is my product, go out there and sell it. I mean, we don't do that. When we say partnership, we actually spend the time and the money together to create events, to do the joint marketing, and everyone knows each other, and then eventually you will get the results back. So that's what happened to us. I thought might be useful to share, because it works for us.
Yeah, thank you, Andy.
We've adopted a similar approach, Andy. We have a couple of vendors who offer solutions in the AppSec space in different areas, and we've actually brought these two vendors, large US vendors, together, and we've delivered events and webinars with those guys. And as an organization, we're actually looking for a partner in the automation space from a delivery point of view. So we have the solutions, but we don't have the manpower to necessarily go in and do the in-depth delivery and consulting and implementation and hand-holding for 6 months, so to speak. So that's what we're exploring at the moment.
Yeah, because remember, who has the customer before you? So who in your network knows the people that you want to target? And something that very few people target is your suppliers. If you have a lot of suppliers, it's in the supplier's interest to help you. And it's often easier to get a referral from a supplier than it is from one of your, from somebody, a client, or somebody where they might feel that, hey, my reputation might be on the line if I basically, recommend you or something like that. But the suppliers, it's in their interest to recommend you. Okay. So when it comes to markets, what are people seeing as issues, in your specific market? And how do you feel that you could broaden that out? Regardless of what the economy is doing, if your specific market you think isn't going to do all that well, is there another allied market which you could sort of just angle slightly and still target, which would be more successful?
It's Jeff here, Rashid. I think our experience has been having the ability to pivot to that market. You still maintain your core capabilities and your key focus areas based on the research you would have done for the total addressable market that you're chasing, but pivoting to those particular markets is critical. Be able to recognise that and adjust your business development and pitch for that particular market, I think, is critical.
Mm-hmm. And when you're creating a message, also remember we are talking to another person, and it was interesting. I was thinking to myself, we keep talking about leads and we keep talking about prospects, and I thought that's pretty impersonal when you think about it. A lead, a prospect, we're talking about people. So what would happen? And I caught myself the other day thinking this, and I thought, what would happen if I changed my own internal language to say, hey, I'm talking to another person. I want to form a genuine connection. They're not a prospect. They're not a lead. They're not some whatever else you want to call this thing. Okay. How would that change the interaction?
I think our experience has been you've got to undertake persona mapping to identify the personas that you're chasing for your opportunities, so that you are able to speak their language and be conversant with their industry. And if necessary, we do research on individual organisations before we speak to them, so that we understand what their strategic and operational challenges are, to have that value conversation with them that's relevant to them.
Okay. Anybody familiar with the empathy map? Anybody not familiar with the empathy map? Can raise your hand. Okay. All right. So the empathy map, I can't remember who created this thing, but I'm not sure if I can find an image quickly. But anyway, the empathy map is basically you put the person in the middle, and you're asking what would they be seeing, hearing, feeling, what would other people be saying about them, etc. And you go around this whole thing, and you're basically putting yourself in their position and looking at it through their eyes. And as the term suggests, being empathetic. What must be going on in their world for them to be experiencing whatever they are experiencing now, because that gives you a connection point. Dale, we haven't spoken. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, I'm going to be meeting with Shane in a little while, and I found out that he was going to be here, so I thought I'd join you guys.
Oh, that's very, very nice. Okay, so just in 30 seconds, tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, well, I've got a company, Present with Presence, and I just help people gain influence through expressing themselves with power, persuasion, and purpose.
Okay, excellent. Excellent. Okay. Big win for the last month? Or any win for the last month?
A client in the UK and another one in the US. So that's it turned me into a night owl, but that's brilliant. So yeah, I'm really happy about that. That's the biggest thing that's happened.
Okay. All right. So if you want to, I don't know if you see the stuff going on in the chat before you join, but we just basically put our details into the chat. Because then you can talk to each other, and I'll save the chat, and you can save the chat by hitting the 3 buttons at the bottom. So if you want to do that, just name, rank, serial number, who you are, what you do, what you're looking for.
Thank you.
Kyle, good to see you.
Glad to be here again. I was a bit late this morning.
That's all right. Better late than never.
Exactly.
So win for the last week or month?
Lots actually. I've got a sales team of 25, so we've had some very major wins. Our major partner Telstra came in and knocked on our door yet again and said we've taken a very large order from a customer. Their delivery arm Purple's not doing a very good job. They know that we've got expertise in it, and so they've already got the signed contract with the customer. And so we've now taken over the project, which is worth it's a proof of concept worth about 400 grand that we're taking over for them. It's using, and they tell you, yes, exactly right. It's very nice, Dale. I'll tell you about the tech for a moment because it's just a bit amazing. We've been looking. I think I've been telling you, we've been looking for some technology for aged care to pick up vital signs without the need for a pendant or a bracelet or whatever it is, because particularly people in their homes tend to not want to wear them all the time or have them on. I'm ringing my mother and my mother-in-law all the time saying, why aren't you wearing it? Oh, I don't need it all the time. So what happens if you fall over? Oh, but I won't fall over. And so anyway, I found this radar. So you wouldn't believe radar out of Korea that can pick up heartbeat and breathing in real time. The first thing we did, we ran to prisons in New South Wales and said, I think we can help you with deaths in custody. We can put these little radars in each cell and they can tell you in real time heart rate and breathing, and we've got 20 cells going. That's going brilliant. While we're doing that, with the researchers out from Korea, we found out the radar picks up spill. So when they spilt water on the floor, and we said, wow, let's go knock on somebody that manages some very large buildings that we know. I can't give names. And they manage about 200 buildings in Australia. And we said, we think we can pick up spills in real time in your buildings and in the aisles of your shopping centres. And they went, really? So this radar now picks up spills and all sorts of things. So it's pretty exciting tech. And this is like all of us. You sort of keep on the outlook of what else can you do to help. Like we got aged care as one of our portfolios. So like you guys are talking about, you're trying to work out what more can I sell to my existing base? All right. You know, we have and I did some analytics in the last month, which I've never done before, to try and work out the company DNA. So we do salespeople DNA. So I went and grabbed all my opportunities that we've ever had since day one, which is about 17,000 opportunities that we've had through our business since 8 years ago. And I just simply went, one lost, and all the ones we have on hold. Our win rate's just on 72%, which is unheard of. All right. And I went back and started to analyze why our win rate is so high. And I started looking at some of the opportunities. And the message here to all is that, and we all know this, but I've now found out that we actually do it better than I thought we were doing it, which is a godsend, is that selling to your own base, going back and visit your own customer and working out what's that next thing they need, all right? And then how do you build that into your suite of products? And I heard about partnerships, we do exactly the same. Sometimes we bring other competitors of ours and bring them in to our ecosystem to be a partner of us, and they actually now doing the same to us, right? Where, you know, some of my other competitors in the IT industry are doing exactly the same. We're now doing their Cisco work and their Microsoft work and their contact center work and all this sort of stuff. So what we've done is, it's what I call the stairs to success, is that if I judged how much that each customer's spending each month, we run a thing called Project Whitespace, which is of all the products I've got in a spreadsheet, and you map what each person's got, each customer, you then end up with this white space of what each customer doesn't have. And that's what we market to, right? And our guard, or our success rate, when I went back and looked at it, I said, okay, why are we getting 70%? Apart from selling to our base, our NPS score is over 50, all right? Now that's pretty high for an IT company. Most IT companies run around the 20, 25 area. We're running just above 50. And so when you put those metrics together, and I'm painful about making sure that our people look after our customers, I now see the results paying off. So my big win for this last couple of weeks is sitting down and doing some analytics on the business to find out why we're winning at such a high rate. There you go, Rashid. There's
I think that's really interesting, because I really like the idea of that matrix, because you've got your customers and you've got your products, and you can see the gaps immediately when you look at this thing. And I don't think anybody does that.
Yeah, we just call it Project Whitespace. In fact, a lot of companies around the place actually call it Project Whitespace. We're not unique in doing that.
Okay.
I wish my partner like Telstra would do it, or other carriers would do it, because they have so many products. And you just think, well, why aren't more of these large vendors doing this Project Whitespace to your own customer base? Because your marketing cost is so low when you have your salespeople, and then you've got to change your comm plan. And Rashid, I don't want to divest off with you, but when you change your comm plan and the KPIs and all your people to be about going back and seeing your existing customers, not attracting new customers. You know, so all my old comm plans from 8 years ago were about trying to get a new customer. All right. You know, scale your commission from 5% to 6% to 10% if you sold more, all that stuff. I've got to tell you, my KPI and my management on all 25 salespeople today, I have no dollar figure on them. And you've heard this received before, but I'll just repeat it for these people. No dollar figure. Their KPI is 2 net new customers, any size, per month. No product, no nothing. Because at the end of the day, at board, we talk about, and let's pick a nice easy number, we've got 1,000 customers, let's use that as an easy number. And next year, I want 10% growth. I want 110 customers. And then if you run Project Whitespace over that, so because I've got mobility, I've got IT help desk and all the other things that are within my company, plus the security I'm bringing in from other people, you add that together, it's then going back and seeing these extra 110 people, all right? Well, the extra 10 people. So and people can't believe that my whole commission structure is around 2 net new customer per month for each sales rep. No dollar figure.
Yeah, that's interesting, because but you've got it down to a fine art from the point of view of it's the long-term lifetime value of the client, rather than the transactional sale, which is the front end, which most people focus on.
Yep.
And that is the biggest difference. Okay, now that's very useful. Okay, I found the empathy map. Let me just have a look at that one. I'm sure I'll share this. All right, so that's the empathy map. I didn't create it. I think who actually gamestorming.com empathy map, but I'm not sure who. Yeah, it's Dave Gray. Anyway, so basically, here's the person you're basically having empathy for. So this is your client, this is your prospect, or this is the person you want to deal with. Stop talking about prospect. So you can do it in any particular order, but basically you have a person now. And what I find it could be quite useful is having a picture of them. So if you were dealing with somebody on LinkedIn and they've got a picture, put the LinkedIn profile up. You're looking at the picture, so you can actually see what they look like within reason. Okay, so who is this person that we want to understand? What's the situation? What's their role? What do they need to do? What do they see? What do they say? What do they do? What do they hear? And in the middle, what are the pains and frustrations? And what are the aspirations and the hopes? And if you actually take the time to fill that out before you speak to somebody, you'll have a far better idea of what could be happening. And then you're basically trying to validate it with them. Make sense?
It does.
Yeah, I think it's critical. That's why persona mapping based on your addressable market is highly relevant. You've got to know who you're selling to and are they the right people and does your messaging match with their pains and gains.
Yep. And then there's also the strategizer model, which is from Strategizer. I think I might have one somewhere. Let me have a look.
Can I just quick while you do that, Rashid?
Yeah.
Remember we talked before about curiosity and compassion? The empathy map helps you with that as well, because you have the curiosity sitting in their heads, thinking what their pains and gains and all of that's going on. And then you create the empathy around them. So that helps you with that entry.
Yep. Okay, here we go. Strategizer. So, sorry, it's not a very, let's see if I can make it a bit bigger. Yep, there we go. All right, so the Strategizer canvas basically says, all right, so here is the person on the right-hand side. They generally start with the jobs that the customer wants to do, or the person wants to do. What are the pains that they're experiencing? What are the gains that they want to get, which are the aspirations? And then you look at your own product or service and you say, okay, what are the things that help them get those gains? And what are the things that help them relieve the pains? And once again, you could put it into the project white space as well and just say it. And if you married those three things together, I think you'd have a far better handle and overview of what is happening with a particular person that you want to actually get over the line. So those are two, pretty well-known models. They've been around a long time. So, all right. So where were we? What are the other challenges that people are having? So let's talk about conversion. Anybody having issues actually getting people to make decisions? And what could you do to speed that up?
Well,
sure,
just to add, there's a few different ways you can do it. I came across the zero time selling methodology. Because people are in different parts of the sales cycle when you see them, and some aren't ready to do anything and some are. And so the methodology around that, conceptually, not is to take them through the full sales cycle, knowing full well they're not going to buy at the end. But then when it is time to make a decision, they'll go to other people that then come back to you once they've done that. Okay, so that speaks to I don't know if any of you are familiar with NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. Okay, so one of the things in NLP is what we call meta-programs, and that's how people think. And everyone's individual, and this is not to put anyone in a box,
but it gives an indication. And there is such a thing as a multiple convincer. So the multiple convincer, and I tend to be one, would say, okay, I need to have a whole bunch of options, and I'm going to go and talk to a whole bunch of people, but I'll probably come back to the first one.
Yeah.
Okay. So so if you're dealing with me, the thing that would really get my goat is if there was a salesperson who just tried to ramrod me and push me into making a decision when I didn't want to. Okay. So the smart, but if that person was smart, they would realize that they would say, look, why don't you go and talk to a whole bunch of other people? These are the criteria you should be looking for. And this is a key. You want to set it up so that you set it up with your criteria for buying. So you tell them what they should be looking for to make a decision. And that goes for, if you're working someone with a tender, setting up the tender, but they have to go out to tender, you do exactly the same thing. So there's no difference. You set up the buying criteria in the other person's mind, then say, go and look at everybody else, ask them these questions. And oh, by the way, these should be the answers you're getting. If you're not getting those answers, ask why not. And then when you're happy with that, they'll come back to me by all means. Okay. So that's the way of doing it. Dale, you had your hand up a minute ago.
Yeah, I was just thinking about creating the relationship along the way always seems to be the thing that converts people. And I do a lot of videos, put a lot of videos up on LinkedIn, and I find that people know me better because of the videos. And so that means that they are, well, they've already decided really whether they like me and whether they think I'm competent and they think that I've got anything to offer. And so I think that helps with the conversion. Then I often just have a chat, and then they're trying to find ways how they can work with me because they already know me.
Yeah, exactly.
As I've used my ideas, guys, I'm an old-fashioned salesman from a long time ago, right? Once you've done all this good work like Dale's talking about and others, right? The one and only way to close out a sale now, today, is an impending event, right? And it must be real. So if I talk about some impending events that we've just seen out in the marketplace, and you've got to ask why. Black Friday sales. Like, it's an impending event. Now, is it real? Not really. But did the shopping sales go up because people perceive they get discounts? Perceived? Mate, the shopping's gone crazy when you have this real impending event, right? I go back to the days of my old photocopier sales when we used to go to big demo things where there'd be 10 manufacturers and we'd all pay to be on the first on the right to get the customer to walk in, and the customers walk in and they came in with the view they're going to walk around and look at 10 photocopier companies. My sales manager said, Kyle, you got to close them before they get to number 2. We've paid to be number 1. You got to stop them. And the customer says to you, they look you in the eye and say, no, I'm going to walk over now and look at Rico. I'm now going to walk over. And you say, no, you won't. Here's the pen, sign right now. If you walk away, the price goes up by 10% right now. And they look at you and go, no. But let me tell you, I'll give you an out. If they actually tell you their product's better and can prove it, you can rip the order up. But I want you to sign the order before you go. Otherwise, you lose. And I've got to tell you, a lot of practice, and you've got to be sincere and all the other sort of things. But let me tell you, with a lot of products today, they're real. Delivery lead times are out, right? Like you wouldn't believe. If you don't place an order today, you're going to risk your project not finishing on time. It's real for those that are doing, and everybody in every industry, building, every industry, the price is going up of every single product. If you don't place your order now, I can't guarantee you the price. Now, some builders, for instance, in the building industry, because they've locked the price in and their projects run 12 months, they're going broke because their price is locked in. Right? So impending event, create an impending event that's real and make the close today. And you'll be amazed that people are going, because what is the difference between making the decision today or tomorrow or Friday or next Monday? Or the person says to you, oh, I'll make it after Christmas. I'm a bit aggressive. I go, don't be so lazy. Make the decision now. I'm going to tell you why you need to make it now. And if you don't make it now, I'm not going to talk to you after Christmas. You go buy some off somebody else. All right? Now, you've got to be able to back yourself. But the customer then looks at you and go, You're serious, aren't you, Kyle? I said, yeah, I am. If you want my business today, it's a bit arrogance doesn't come into it, guys. There's a whole range of plays here. Like all these you talk about, knowing your customer, believing your product, you've done all the groundwork, they've built the relationship, closing out the sale, the best and most impending event. Find the impending event. I get up and put it in my salespeople. You go see their existing customers in this month of December. December is our best sales month ever of all our months, because they get 2 bottles of wine, a red bottle and a white bottle, and they deliver it by hand to every single customer, including ones that are prospects. And the idea is that then we give them the tools to close the order before Christmas. Otherwise, they won't get delivery until March or April next year. And that's real, by the way, because the amount of work we've got coming through. All right. So, yeah, so I get up and suggest to you, I get rather passionate about this because I'm an old-fashioned sales guy. Impending event is create your impending event, make it real, and then make sure the customer, they don't have to be ready to buy. You get them over the line. The biggest hurdle is getting the person that last minute before the last second when person goes to make a decision, their mind goes blank.
Well, I think it's the same. I think you hit the nail on the head where it's make it real, okay? Because how many of us have been on a website where they say, oh, look, you know, there's a countdown timer, whatever that countdown timer is, and you've got to do something. And the next time you come, the countdown timer starts at the same point again. You know, if it was 5 days, it starts at 5 days again. And 3 days from now, it starts at 5 days again. And you just look at that and go, what a load of crap, okay? So if you were going to put on something and you say, okay, here is the early bird, and the early bird is the early bird, no exceptions, bang, right? So it is a real event. You've just created it. Absolutely. So, okay, we've only got a few more minutes left. So what I'd like to just ask is any particular insights that you've taken away from the 3 sides of the triangle? Anyone want me to put up the triangle again? Here we go, share. Come on, where is it? Is it showing?
It's showing.
Yep. Okay. All right. So yeah, go.
I was going to say it was what Barbara said off the back of the triangle about curiosity, compassion, connection, the 3 C's there, which I really took away, which I thought just really simplified the triangle. So if you go with that kind of approach.
Yeah, that's a really good point, but something else came to mind. Conviction would be the last one. Okay, so you actually have 4
that's
C's.
Kyle and his conviction.
because if you don't have conviction about what you're doing, why would anyone else have conviction about buying it?
Absolutely. So curiosity, compassion, connection, conviction.
Yeah.
Perfect. And Kyle, the quadruple C's and K. Awesome.
Somebody else?
Yeah, it's Peter here. I thought the under conversion, the idea of a small version or an MVP version of the product to gain trust, because I know in our business where we've got a software platform for new organizations to switch to that. It's a big leap of faith, even though there's a lot of data that supports that. But certainly we already offer a put GradSift to the test, which is a real simple way for employers to validate that it works for them and it's free. So that's one way we've created trust to increase the conversion. But also the other thing that we've just been looking at more recently is in the recruitment of graduates. It's typically a once a year event, happens once and that's it. And because the demand for graduates has been so huge, a lot of employers are now asking themselves, should they be trying to recruit year round rather than on a single event? And the process for that, for most employers, is actually really cumbersome to try to do that. So we've actually in the process of developing a way that employers could use GradSift for their year-round recruitment, which would be a small kind of component compared to their annual program. And again, we kind of think that's a way that it would enable employers to try GradSift in a lower risk way, without jeopardizing their mainstream program, and hopefully again building that trust to then hopefully convert to us in the future as well. So they were the two takeaways for me.
Excellent, thank you. Anyone else? Something you're going to do differently, or possibly try to see whether it makes, because I was reading Atomic Habits again from James Clear. Anyone read that? Yeah, it's a great book. I'd really recommend reading it. And he makes an interesting point. He says, if you, and I wrote this down, if you get 1% better every day with something, you will be 37 times better in a year if you do the maths. It's just 1% better in a day. And my grandfather used to say, if you just had learned one new thing every day, at the end of the year, you'd learn 365 new things. And that would probably be 364 more than everybody else.
That book is great. And I think the other thing that I really learned with that is you don't just have a goal, you become the goal. So, for example, not just I will be, I've forgotten the word I was going to look for, but you're thinking about that all the time. So say, for example, I did Dry July in July. I've still not touched a drop of alcohol since then, because I told myself and identified myself as somebody I do not drink. And I think because I convinced my own mind of that, rather than just white knuckling till the end of July, it's nearly 6 months later and I'm still here. And I took that away from James's book about really identifying, not just having a goal, being that particular person. And obviously you can bring that out in a business sense as well.
Yeah, because it's because he makes a very valid point that it's people who set goals and people who don't set goals have equal chance of achieving them. Interestingly enough.
Yes,
it's who you become and the systems that you have to doing it that makes the difference.
Absolutely, and it was that identity that really made a difference. Not just I'll get to the 31st of July and then whoa, I'll be drinking Cow's bottle of white and red. It was no, this is the new Nicola.
Yeah, it's all about ownership and agency. It's all about I am not a drinker.
Yeah.
Rather than I don't drink, or I don't.
Well, yeah, I'm still a fun person who socializes. I just don't need an alcoholic beverage to do it. So, and I can drive home, so it's cheaper.
Okay, excellent. Anybody else? Something you're going to do differently? Something you're going to try?
Anyone would like to have a screenshot of the empathy map that you might be able to, can you put that up again, Rashid? So that you can screenshot it and then you've got it. Try that, if nothing else.
Where is it? Nope, sorry, that's the strategizer, wrong one, unless you want that one as well. Where is it? Empathy map. Sorry, I think I must have closed it. All right, just talk amongst yourselves while I find it again.
Okay, so there's something else you may want to consider, and that is transactional versus relational. So what is that going to do? Is a sale just transaction, or is it building relationships, and therefore lifetime value has a completely different impact and becomes a lot more important, in particular when we were listening to Kyle about, that white project? I can't.
Project white space.
Project white space. Because if you have a relationship with people, it's a lot easier to sell that too.
Okay, everyone got a screenshot if you want one, otherwise I can email it to you if you let me know.
I just popped it in chat.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks for that.
Thanks, Shane.
All right, so in the last couple of minutes, let's just go around the room. What did something you took away from today? What did you find useful? Peter?
I think I already answered.
You already told me.
Yep,
You answered
yep.
that. Yep. Okay. Nobby?
I think I'm pretty much on the same page with Kyle, going back to the old style selling type thing. In as much as with my program, I provide the old puppy dog, take it home for the weekend, try it out. And if you like it, then, pay me on Monday type of thing. So my proof of concept of my software for the client works for them, and they get to see it working before they even have to pay for it. Then when we have the conversation, I show them how they can do even better. And so it's just compounding and building more on their trust and their expectations. And in the end, it's sort of like, well, we've gone so much further. Why wouldn't you keep going? You're going to save all of this money, which is hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you'll have money for your retirement. So, yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Rick, how about you?
I just want to share an anecdote based on what Kyle was saying. Yesterday, we sent out a notice to all our clients about a price increase for January 1st, first one we've done in years. And unexpected result of that is that we had about a dozen clients come to us and order right away to take advantage of the current pricing. So if any of you ever have a cash flow issue, just tell everyone you're going to raise the price in a month and you'll get a lot of money in right away because we got 50% deposit. And so it was just a funny anecdote that or a funny situation we never expected to happen. So I just want to share that with you.
Nice windfall. Okay. Yeah, all right. So, Jeff, how about you?
Yeah, thank you. I think the group's reinforced in my mind that what we're doing, we're on the right track as we expand overseas based on total addressable market analysis and persona mapping and pivoting to seize those opportunities. So it's been very useful.
Okay, excellent. Thank you for being part of it. Nicola?
I do quite a lot of presentations, and you always have that slide at the beginning about me. But what I'm going to do instead is do a brief story, not about me, about somebody else and how they went from pain to success, or even weave that particular story throughout the presentation. So it makes it about them, not about me. And I help them become the hero, because I'm not the hero of the piece. It's my client or my candidate that's the hero. And I just help them shine. So bringing that in and bringing out the emotion, connection, compassion, etc. I just need to think of the right stories, but I have got quite a lot, so I can bring those in. Thanks, Rashid, and thank you. Happy Christmas.
So you could do it about a third party, which is perfectly valid, but you could also do it about how you see them. Because I guarantee they'll be leaning in after that. Okay, so this and you say, think. This is you. This is the vision I had for you.
Perfect. Thank you.
And I think just what I would do is just try, test it. Yeah. None of us know whether anything's going to work until we test it.
Yeah, you can see when it's resonating with people. And actually, we're very fortunate up here that we've been doing loads of live events all year and some of last year. So you can actually see the whites of people's eyes, so to speak, because you're physically with them, which is good. Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Andy, what did you take away?
Look, this is my first time, but it's always great to be involved in, networking, seeing this, seeing and meeting similar people with similar goal. So it's, because like you said at the beginning, Rashid, I mean, growing and building the business can be quite lonely. So I think if you in the same, everyone in the same room or in the same group, it's going to help a lot. And every single tips, it's very, very useful, to grow. It's as part of growing the business, because sometimes just one single tip can actually change the whole lot. So, so it's great to see, people sharing some tips, including Kyle here. So yeah, looking forward to the next meeting.
Excellent. Thanks, Andy.
No worries.
Gail.
I really like the conviction thing. And I think that if we're just committed to what value we bring and how much better people's lives are from what we do, then that will drive our conviction, I think. And so that it's just kind of, I suppose, for me, like a mindset and a forward motion. And it's just like knowing that if the earlier they sign up, the better their lives will be, the better their businesses will be, the better their families will be, the better everything will be, is a driving force to get them to sign up.
Excellent. Thank you. Baz, how about you? Find the right mute button.
Here we go. So it's pretty much going back, I think, to our accounts team to just refocus on not just a general message, just a client-based individual message to build those relationships. Where I think with the number of people we've had come and go, and especially in account management roles, hasn't been about the relationship, and kind of forgot about the demographics and what we're dealing with. It's just been like, do you need help? You need help. You need help, but hasn't built a relationship. So I think that's kind of reinforces that, because I've been sensing it in the business as well. So yeah, it's good to know that I can use that triangle with our accounts team.
Excellent. Great. Sean.
I really liked the video on LinkedIn. So lifting the profile in the marketplace, instilling trust that way. I thought that's quite a good one. And it made me think about what we're doing, because we have new technology, market leading. There's a lot of white noise building trust. So for example, with Cypherize, the product where you scan the QR code once and no more passwords, like Telstra's interested, RCSA with 1 million members is interested. So we're looking at maybe through the MSPs offering that complementary as a way to build trust in the marketplace. So it's kind of made me think about that, because it's something we're doing at the moment.
Excellent. Thank you. Frank.
Right, got me. I was just about to jump off and type it up, but I'll say it verbally. Look, I did like the Creating Pending event that Kyle talked about. I'm certainly going to think about that and see how I can convey that to the rest of my sales team and see what we can do on that one. And I also like the compassion, curiosity, conviction, connection thoughts, and sort of weaving that into, treating people as people, which, we all know, that people buy on 80% emotion as much as on fact as well. So that was good. So a lot of other good things that came out of this session as well that I've taken notes from. So thank you all.
Thanks, Frank.
But I need to say goodbye because I've got to jump on and actually do an interview. So I'll see you later, guys.
Good luck. And good luck for this afternoon.
Frank, just quickly, I left a message for you on something else. Just have a look. Have a good weekend.
Bye.
Jane.
Look, I think that what I got sort of some confidence from what Kyle had said about the idea that it's more profitable to retain your existing customers and to work on that than it is to go after new business, because it's quite a change for a lot of organizations to actually think about that there is a more profitable way of doing things and a much stronger relationship. I'm trying to bring that culture into the organization I work with, and it is a real big paradigm shift. So yeah, no, I really appreciated that, Kyle. Thanks for sharing.
Okay, excellent. And Sam.
Hello. Yes, I really enjoyed the curiosity compassion thing. One of the things I'm doing at the moment is actually dispatching an item that I use when I'm working with teams, which is just a little set of cards that I'd created. And I'm actually gifting them to team leaders I have not yet worked with so that they can get curious about what it is that I do and then test out the way that I work. But I also loved what Dale said about the LinkedIn videos, because I put a lot of information out, but I don't tend to video myself talking about it. So I thought that was a pretty cool idea for increasing trust, considering that's what I do. When I come in, I help teams to increase their trust internally. They need to trust me first. So it kind of makes sense. Really enjoyed that.
Excellent. Thank you. And last but definitely not least, Carl.
Yeah, look, the empathy map, I know about it, but I hadn't really spent much time on it because we were in my sales training that I give the guys. I always tend to focus on dominant buying motive as to, you know, where is the person in, and that's how you focus your story. But just seeing that empathy map just made me rethink about both the dominant buying motive, which still needs to be done, which is finding out what is the real motive for the decision they're making. But I'm going to add in and do some more research on how to blend the empathy map into still a requirement to find the dominant buying motive, but to get that, we do talk about empathy, but getting that better empathy. So yeah, no, I like the empathy map. So I'll do some more research on that.
Okay, excellent. Glad we managed to add something to you instead of the other way around for a change.
Mate, we all learn something. Like the 1%ers, buddy.
Yep.
I have a day off. If I get 2%, I have a day off. All right, over the rest of the day off if I can get the 2%. All right, and the days where I get 0 or negative, because there are those days too. I've got to work bloody harder. So yeah.
All right, excellent. Anyway, thank you everybody for being part of this. I really enjoyed it, and I think we'll have the next one probably mid-January, but I'll let you all know. And
does anybody know how to get a pen that stops working? You know, it's bringing you, and you go, it's one of my good pens, and I hate the fact that the ball just freezes on it, the ink won't flow out. How do you fix it?
Have you looked on Google?
There's my problem for the day. How to get
that is your problem for the day, and I'm sure Google will have an answer. Anyway, thank you everybody once again.
See
and
ya, everyone.
have a wonderful Christmas and New Year.
Stay safe, happy, and healthy.
All
Thanks,
right.
Barbara.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.